Welcome back to GOAT Chat. This is episode 6. Thank you all for the support on episode 5 that we posted on Monday. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out now. But we are at number 6, so we're going to start out with our favorite segment, the GOAT of the number. Tommy, who is the GOAT of your number 6?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Stan the Man Musial. You guys haven't heard of him, but he's an icon, the best Cardinals player of all time, arguably. He had 3,630 career hits. He was a 331 lifetime hitter, Hall of Famer, obviously, 3-time MVP, 24-time All-Star in 22 seasons because he played in the era where they had 2 All-Star games per season. He's a 3-time World Series champion, won 7 batting titles, an incredible Cardinal, a great winner. And like Joe DiMaggio last week, he missed a season because he served in the military. Great all-around person, so he's my go to the number 6.
Definitely an interesting pick. It's not a Yankees player this time.
I know. Well, and an honorable mention, I have to go with Joe Torre.
I should have just left it there. Why didn't talk?
Yeah, right. I was going to mention that, and I forgot. But, I was going to go with Joe Torre, but I had to go with the player, so I have to give it to Stan.
Awesome. Connor, what about you?
Well, I'm going to go Bill Russell in Boston. I mean, he played 14 years. He was a 12-time All-Star and 11-time champ, won 5 MVPs, and had 5 rebound titles. And I mean, on top of that, like I said last week, the GOAT of the week isn't always just the player. It's someone who can also make a change. And he was a big part in the civil rights movement back in the 1960s. So him playing on the court while also giving his time towards something that he truly believes in is what makes him the GOAT of the number 6 for me. Now, my honorable mention this week, the only person to ever have a butt fumble, Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, Mark. Let's go, Mark. I mean, if you really think about it, he's the only one to ever do something, so he has to at least be in the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the greatest in a different way.
All right. Mike, what about you?
Well, obviously it's Bill Russell. Listen, obviously Stan the Man did have a pretty good, outstanding career. He hit 330, made the All-Star game 24 times. But Bill Russell was just better. He made the All-Star team 12 times out of his 13 years, while the NBA only had the All-Star game once a year. So if Stan wanted to keep pace with Bill Russell, he would have had to made 40 or 41 All-Star teams in his 22-year career. But, that's pretty tough to do. Bill Russell also won more MVPs than Stan. He was 11-time All-NBA, 11-time NBA champ. I mean, just a complete beast. He was the leading charge for the Celtics in the 50s and 60s. And like Connor said, he was big in the civil rights movement. So I feel like the only answer right here is Bill Russell.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Mike and Connor. I'm going to go with Bill Russell. I don't know anything about Stan Musical or whatever his name is.
Stan Musical.
But I think Bill Russell was what Connor and Mike said. Pretty much I agree with everything of it. And, I would also like to shout out to LeBron. Me and Connor thought about him. But I think, because I want to get as many athletes as we can on this go to the number segment. So 23, cough MJ. So I tried to fit LeBron here, but I just couldn't do it. So I'm going to go with Bill Russell. Just better than LeBron. Everything that they said, I agree with. I'm going to open up the floor. Any comments on Stan the Man or Bill Russell?
Well, I would just say, because you just commented on LeBron, I just mean up until probably a half hour before we went live, I was thinking I was going to go LeBron the entire time. And I mean, he played 4 seasons in Miami. He had 2 finals championships, 2 finals MVPs. He won the MVP twice. He had a 27-game win streak in 2013 with the team. He was an AP Athlete of the Year in 2013. And I mean, in my opinion, LeBron in Miami was prime LeBron.
Mike would have torched you.
I mean, yeah, I think number 6 LeBron is a good choice, but you also forget about the 2011 finals where he choked But you also can add in the Olympics where he did wear the number 6, with the Redeem team and all the other Olympic teams that he was on. So he just didn't get the chance to play enough to even catch up Bill Russell or even Stan the Man. I would pick Stan the Man over LeBron number 6 any day of the week.
Tommy, it looked like you had a comment there before I started talking.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say, I mean, it's hard to go against Bill Russell, but, I'm a baseball guy, so I had to give Stan some love there. But, no, I'd have to agree with you. It's probably Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Talk
Definitely.
myself out of that one, but.
Yeah. One of the guys I would like to honorably mention is one of my favorite basketball players, Dr. J at Julius Irving. If no one knew, I'm a Sixers fan, so he's definitely one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh.
But he doesn't compare to Bill Russell. I'm not gonna even try to compare that. So, or Stan Musical, the musical man.
I don't know. I feel like Julius Irving constantly gets overlooked just because he was like right before like Larry and Magic. So I think he gets overlooked.
Mike, do you have any other honorable mentions that you would like to throw out there for the number 6?
No other honorable mentions really, but one thing about you said you thought the Heat LeBron was prime LeBron. I think at the beginning of his second Cavs era, like 2015, 2016, I think that was probably the best LeBron that we've seen just because of what he did in the playoffs, how dominant he was in the playoffs.
That's a fair point. Him in the playoffs with Cleveland was definitely different than him in the playoffs with Miami.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you also think he had those pieces around him in Miami that he didn't have in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, in 2016, like he obviously did have Kyrie, but Kyrie was hurt in overtime, I think, of game 1 in the finals of the 2015 finals. So he didn't really have that help. And he was up 2-1 against him, but, it's kind of hard when he didn't have much around him. Who knows? Maybe he could have done it, but he played outstanding anyways.
Another honorable mention that Tommy pointed out to me was Al Kaline from the Tigers. He played around at the time when Stan Musical played. And, I don't have any certain stats on him, but I mean, I just know that he's a solid player for the Detroit Tigers organization. I mean, his numbers are tired in Detroit.
Yeah, and I have his numbers up. He won a World Series. He was an 18-time All-Star himself, over 3,000. So he's quite the player. And, yeah, that's a good honorable mention.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. Do you guys have anything else to say?
I think these all are some very talented number 6 players. And, I mean, they're all very good mentions when it comes to the number 6.
Great point. All right. Well, let's get into our next topic.
Welcome back to GOAT Chat. Now we're going to talk about Major League Baseball, give you an update on that. So it was just announced that MLB has rejected the players' proposal for an 114-game season. They want to keep it down closer to 50 is what they're saying. And they're going to pay the players the full prorated salaries like they want. But, you start to think, is it really worth it at that point? Because, you're playing less than a third of a regular season. So the players are getting less than a third of their money. Guys, what do you think?
50 games isn't enough. Because, I mean, we think back to last year, the Washington Nationals, who eventually won the World Series, through 50 games, they were 19-31. So we put a 50-game a 50-game season into place, and I mean, they don't make the postseason.
For sure.
At 19-31, and I mean, say that happened last year, who's our World Series champion? So I mean,
New York Mets.
Definitely not New York.
Houston Astros? Question mark.
It probably would be mad, unfortunately, but
no, I just and I mean, I just heard that the MLB isn't going to be sending back any counter offers. So I once again stand by my prediction that I said in the first episode, and then I just said again in the 5th episode, is I don't think the baseball is going to be played this season. And it hurts to say that, being such a big baseball fan as I am, but with no counteroffer coming back, and the players aren't going to want to play 50 games. They're not going to want to get that third of their salary. if they're going to play, they're going to want to play for their full salary, and it's not going to happen the way it's looking right now. And it's unfortunate, but I don't think baseball's going to play. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, you can go, Mike.
No, go ahead, Tommy.
Oh, I was going to say, personally, I feel like they will play because from what I'm hearing, like Carl Ravitch, Ithaca alum, he said the other day that he feels they're going to play because if they don't come to an agreement, which it doesn't sound like they will, the owners in the union, Rob Manfred's pretty much just going to he's going to start the season pretty much, and he's going to say that they're going to play 50 games. But to your point, Connor, the players can strike. They can say that they're not going to play 50 games, and I wouldn't be shocked to see that at all. But it'll be interesting to see what the players think about playing a 50-game season, but I agree. I don't think that's going to be well received, and maybe they can negotiate it up, but I'm not sure.
I was just going to say, 50 games is just not enough games. I thought the 114-game proposal that the player union sent in was a good one. And I think if you play somewhere between 82 and 114 games, that's a good, range. But it has to get done now. If it doesn't get done in this week or next week, there will be no baseball played because there won't be enough time for games, and the players won't want to play anything less than 80. So
I was watching finish what you were saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so it needs to get done very, very soon, or we won't have baseball this summer.
I was watching Jeff Passan talk the other day, who's an MLB analyst, and he was saying that this week is the most crucial for the deal. And I mean, the way he's thinking is he's saying that we're treading into some dangerous water here about how there's not going to be baseball played because, I mean, he's got the inside scoop. He's talking to players. He's talking to owners. He's talking to everyone. And he's saying that no one is on the same page with any of these proposals. The owners thought that the 114 was too much. The players think that 50 is too little, but yet they won't meet in the middle at 80. So it's going to be tough to see them make an agreement.
Would you guys rather see the baseball with the 50 games or no baseball?
No baseball.
I'd say no baseball.
I mean, I want to see it no matter what, but
I mean, you're right, Tommy, but I don't know. I feel like if it is gonna end up being 50 games, I would obviously still watch and be excited for it. I don't know. I feel like it's just like a preseason. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. The regular season would be less than 2 months.
I'd say the one thing with a 50-game schedule that would make it more exciting is that every game is going to count.
That's true.
You can't be like the Nationals last year where you're standing in 19-31. You have to go out there and you have to win 30 ball games. You have to put your best team out on the field every day, which could also be dangerous to player health, though, because these teams are still going to want to get that ring at the end, and they're going to put these players out there who may need a day off when they need a win. So, I mean, they don't have that leeway there with the 162 games where their star players can play or can sit some games because there's really no time for your bench players to really get that time.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing worthy of noting, too, is that the league is going to allow players to sit out the season if they want. They can kind of opt out of it. So you're going to see some guys, probably some big names, just decide not to play, even if, the rest of the league does play. So, and then you kind of question what's the quality of it going to be, because you're going to have some stars sitting out. It's going to be 50 games, not really an accurate representation. I mean, there's teams that have incredible stretches and then they don't do anything else the rest of the way. I mean, you could have a team like the Marlins have a really good stretch and make the postseason. And if the Yankees, who are projected to be up there, don't do anything in the first 50 games, then they're sitting at home when the Marlins have a chance.
That sounds like pretty good to me.
Yeah, it sounds pretty decent.
Oh, that's not what we want. But, like the Mariners, they started out 13-2 last year. And then, I think they were dead last in the AL West. So that shows you how things can go. But
I mean, I'd definitely say one of those bigger names that we'd see probably sitting out, I would say, is Blake Snell. He already voiced his opinion on it, and if he's not getting his full salary, he doesn't want to play. So, I mean, I can definitely see Blake Snell leading the charge of big name players who are not going to play this season.
I mean, one thing I think about the 50-game season is that, the owner said that they would give him a full prorated salary. But the thing is, you're only playing 50 games, right? It's not even a third of the normal 162-game season. So you might as well just play 80 games and just get, the same amount of money that you would play for 50 games. I think the players would rather have that happen instead of there only being 50 games, because you're also forgetting that, they obviously still love baseball. They want to get out there and play. They're really eager to play. So I think that's one thing that you also have to take into account.
I agree. It'll be interesting for sure. And one thing to keep in mind too is that they want to start spring training a week from today. I mean,
they have to get it done soon, this week.
It's kind of hard for me to think that a week from today we'll be sitting here with baseball happening, but it could. You never know, but
it's got to move fast.
Miracles can happen.
Summer training.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. But also, you always remember, if it makes money, it makes sense. So if the owners find some way that an 80-game season or even a 114-game season can be more profitable than a 50-game season, then they will go with that, because the only thing on their mind right now is how much money they're going to lose.
That's right. And one thing that I was thinking too, do they really want to play if they're proposing like a 50-game season? Because like you said, Mike, how much money are they really making with 50 games?
Especially with no fans going in to sit.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know. I hope they play, but there's a lot of obstacles right now, and we're a good ways from it happening.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. Any other comments? No?
We covered it all.
All right, well, let's get into our next topic.
Welcome back to Goat Chat. We are going into our next segment, which is going to be more of an opinionated segment here. We're going to talk about each of our favorite games that we've ever watched. So, example is the 2013 NBA Finals Game 6 when Ray Allen hit a 3 to tie it. Something like that for each of ours. We all have our own story. So why don't we go down to Mike? We'll start with Mike.
Well, the game that I'm going to pick is actually a game I attended to last year. It was the New York Mets against the Washington Nationals on August 9th of 2019. It was actually Marcus Stroman's home debut. He just got traded from the Blue Jays to the Mets. So that was one of the things going to the game I was excited about. When we get into the stadium, this has been my first Met game in years. And I went with a couple of my friends. Shout out to them. And so we go in the stadium. Nats go up 3-0. We're like, oh my gosh, not again. They're on a 6-game winning streak, the Mets. If they won this game, they would be tied for second and a wild card. But then they come back. Alonso hits a home run, scores 2 runs, and then J.D. Davis hits another home run. They tie the game. But going to the 9th, the Nats were up 6-3. They took a 6-3 lead in the 8th. No, actually in the top of the 9th. I'm sorry. And me and my friends were like, oh, let's just leave, there's no way they're coming back. I'm like, no, let's stay. And then one person gets on base, another person gets on base, and Todd Frazier comes to the plate. And I'm like, I just have this weird feeling he's going to knock this out of here. And all of a sudden, whoosh, out of the park, it just barely makes it fair on the left field foul pole. The whole stadium goes crazy. And then Lagares comes up to the plate next. He's absolutely horrible. Don't even get me started about Lagares. He can't hit a ball for anything.
It sounds like you're getting yourself started on Lagares.
What?
It sounds like you're getting yourself started on Lagares.
Oh, yeah, maybe a little. But so he gets on base. So does Ahmed Rosario. And Conforto barely hits it over Adam Eaton's head in right field. And I was in the nosebleeds on right field, so I just saw it just barely make it over his glove. And the Mets score. They come back from 3 runs down in the 9th. and just the whole stadium was erupting. It was so much excitement. Even going down the stairs back to the parking lot, everyone was chanting, "Let's go Mets, let's go Mets." It was just something I haven't experienced in a long, long time. So that has to be my favorite one.
Matt, what's your favorite game?
You know me, I can't make up my mind over here. So obviously one of the best games I've ever seen was Super Bowl XLV 45. Green Bay Packers beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh my God, it was insane. I remember, I mean, like I was 10 at the time, right? Yeah, I was born in 2001, October 2001. This was February 2011. So I was 10 years old. I wasn't like, I mean, like I don't remember everything at 10 years old. I was a very happy kid. But I remember watching it this past year actually, and Aaron Rodgers tosses up a 29-yard pass to Devontae Adams. That's a touchdown. We're torching the defense. Nick Collins gets a pick six, touchdown. We go up 14-0 in the first quarter, and then I remember the win, and I remember Aaron Rodgers getting that holding up the Super Bowl with Clay Matthews next to him, gave him the belt, because Aaron Rodgers' touchdown belt, and that was easily one of the best memories I've ever had as a kid. Just seeing your team. I mean, I'm really thankful to see my favorite team win a Super Bowl. I mean, I don't think Connor or Mike can say that. I don't know about Tommy, but
I've seen the Steelers win, but I don't remember. It was a while ago.
But so that's my first one. It was in Cowboy Stadium too. It was in Arlington. That's when Aaron Rodgers decided to claim that as his own. And then we fast forward 6 years later. One of the best Packers games I've ever seen. It's the divisional playoffs in 2017.
Rodgers spins to his left, comes underneath.
Hello,
And the pass
darkness,
is
my old
incomplete,
friend.
out of bounds. Now they say complete.
I've come to talk with you again.
With 3 seconds left, the
Because
Packers are
a
going to have a
vision
chance to win
softly creeping
it. This to send the
left
Packers
its
to the
seeds while I
NFC
was
Championship game.
sleeping.
It
And the vision
is good.
that was
The Packers are moving
planted
on.
in my brain.
Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are rookies. They're coming off great years. Dak, probably that's his best year he's ever going to have, frankly. So Aaron Rodgers, it was a back and forth game towards the end of the game. It's 31-31. Aaron Rodgers hikes it. He rolls out to his left, coming over. He throws a pass that I don't even know how he got off, or I don't even know how he placed it perfectly. Like I could reenact it for you. Like Mike was doing the batting. Like I could reenact this for you guys. And Jared Cook is just there. He's like perfectly catches it. It was perfectly placed, perfectly caught. And then we got Mason Crosby, one of the best kickers in the NFL. First one, he got it through, but they called a timeout. Smart trying to ice the kicker. Next one, it just barely goes through. And it was like I was about to cry, okay? And I'll admit I cry when my teams win. Last season, when the Packers beat the Seahawks in the divisional round, I got a little teary-eyed. But, then they got walled-off by the 49ers, but we don't have to talk about that. So where was I? Oh, yeah. And then I watched the Selena scene. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's when the Celine Dion song goes on. And I watched that of the Packers, and, I got teary-eyed the other day just watching it. It's going to be a memory that I'm never going to forget as a kid, So, I mean, I went on a total rampage, there. But also, honorable mention, every Hail Mary Aaron Rodgers ever thrown. So I'm done now.
I will tell you, Super Bowl 45, if the Jets beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, Packers weren't winning the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Tommy, what was your favorite game you've seen?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Game 4 of the 2017 ALCS between the Yankees and the Houston Astros. That was an incredible.
Hey, wait.
What?
I thought you told us you were going to do Cubs.
Okay, so I thought that we had to pick like the best game of the decade. I didn't know it could just be like our favorite.
Well, we have to have a reason. Well, go ahead, but like.
Oh, I have a reason. Let me tell you. So we're playing against the cheating Houston Astros, so it makes the win even better today. But so the Yankees were down 4-0 in the seventh inning. Then Aaron Judge hit a home run, so we got a couple runs back. And then in the 8th inning, the Yankees scored 4. There was a huge RBI double there by Gary Sanchez, cleared the bases, and we went on to win that game 6-4. Took a 3-2 series lead heading back to Houston, and we all know what happened there. Houston cheated incredibly, and and we lost the last 2 games, didn't make it to the World Series. But, John Sterling, he described it as one of the best comebacks he's ever seen. Because, to think, down 4-0 with Houston having all the momentum, they get that win.
And the video cameras.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're heading back to their cheating stadium where they got all the video cameras there. And, so everything's going right for Houston. Then we come back and we win it. We take a lead in the series, just one win away from the World Series. But then we all know what happened. But, that's got to be my favorite because a comeback like that in a big game, nothing better.
Wait, Connor, before you give your game, I just thought about this right now because there's so much drama around if the MLB even is around. The Astros hatred has started to die down. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but do you think if the MLB season does come back, there will still be that hatred against the Astros? What do you guys think?
It's going to be tough to say. I definitely think there's going to be those players. I think specifically the teams that were affected by Houston's cheating, I think those teams are definitely going to hold those grudges. Obviously the Yankees come to mind. But, all those other teams, the Dodgers back in 2017, I think those teams will hold a little bit of a grudge towards them. But, it's hard to say if the other teams will as well.
Yeah, I agree with Connor. I think that some of the teams will hold a grudge. And what we have to remember, too, is that if they come back, it's not going to be like a normal season where, like you're playing all the other divisions in your league. They're splitting it up into regions. So if they do play, the Astros are going to play the Dodgers 6 times, which that'll be great. I'm excited for it. But, the Yankees will have to wait till next year. But, those will be exciting games. So I think that's another reason. Obviously, that's not like a sole reason to come back, but you're going to have some exciting games if you come back. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think teams will still hate the Astros. I don't think that's ever going to leave in a while.
Okay, Connor, go ahead on your game.
I'm going to jump in with my favorite game. So this is 2018. I'm going to go to NFL. It was 2 9-1 teams playing on a Monday night in Los Angeles. It was the Rams and the Chiefs. And obviously, for all of us who aren't football fans, the game ended 54-51 in the Rams' favor. It was just a complete back and forth offensive brigade between these two teams. Jared Goff was having a very good 2018 season. Patrick Mahomes was having a very good 2018 season. And two teams who really didn't have very many flaws throughout their season really met. The offensive definitely showed out. It was just constant offense. I went and I looked up the highlights for it this morning. And just watching the highlights from the game, it was 17 minutes long. And you don't see that from many football games. And the defense showed up when it did. There was a pick to end the game. Mahomes threw a pick to end the game there. So, it was just a huge game. And no, it's not a big comeback like Tommy said, and it's not those feel-good stories where it's a field goal to win it like Matt had said. But, it's just the offense definitely showed out, especially in a 2018 Super Bowl where the Rams lost to the Patriots 9-3. So, seeing that offense there by the Rams, it was probably one of the best football games I've seen in my lifetime.
I definitely have to agree with you. I remember watching that game. It was just a fireworks show. It was absolutely insane. What was going on? It's not like they were like methodically making their way down the field. It was one explosive play after another, after another, after another. It was insane.
I would say another one of my favorite games was I mentioned it in our opening, was the 2013 NBA Finals Game 6. Being a Heat fan, seeing Ray Allen hit that corner or that 3 from the corner to tie the game, and seeing Norris Cole on the sideline jumping up and down on the bench knowing that they had just tied the game, hoping to go into a game 7 it was huge. I mean, me being 12 at the time, I freaked. I still, I mean, now on TikTok, that voiceover is a huge trend on TikTok with the sports, and just hearing it over and over again, it always replays, and it's so awesome to hear, and it just continuously replays. And I mean, obviously, we mentioned at the beginning, Miami number 6, LeBron James, he had a huge part to play in that championship and specifically that play. So, I mean, one of the best games I've seen.
Yeah, that was a great game.
It's almost like he saved LeBron's legacy or something. It's like kind of crazy, but we won't get into that now.
I mean, Ray Allen is the best 3-point shooter of all time.
Okay. Okay. We'll save that for another.
Steph Curry and Clay have something to say about that, but
Yeah, definitely.
The numbers have something else to say, but yeah, that's not the segment we're talking about now.
Does anyone remember?
it's kind of hard to argue because Ray Allen played in an era where they didn't shoot as many threes, and you can argue that Steph kind of changed the era that Ray Allen played to the era that is today. So you can argue that he did change the era, but that could be an argument for a different day. I do have one more game I want to bring up, but first off, I want to say, Matt, I absolutely hate you.
I know.
Back. I don't know if you saw me. Like
literally, I was staring right at you the whole time.
You could see like all like the PTSD like going through my head, all like the nightmares. Not even from the 2016 game. It brought me back to the 2014 game. Man, I mean, the Cowboys, even in the 2016 game, the Cowboys came back. They fall back from like 24-3 down. They come back. They tie the game. Packers take the lead again. They tie the game again. And then Rodgers makes that throw. Oh, my God. I just can't.
Here comes the angry Cowboys fan again.
Like, I'm going to be honest. Like you said, you cried when your teams win. Listen, my teams don't win, so I cry when they lose. After that 2014 game, I bawled my eyes out, let me tell you. I was at my friend's house. I didn't mean to say that. That just slipped out. But listen, this is freaking nightmares, let me tell you. Oh, my gosh. Anyways.
I have those. I know what you're talking about. You could just name any Seattle Seahawks Green Bay Packers game. The onside kick.
But it's always Aaron Rodgers. He always comes to Dallas, screws us over. It's always in our house. And when we went up in 2014, we should have won that stupid game. Let me tell you, should have been a catch.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Did it.
Mike, why don't you give us your other best game?
Not many people know this, but I am a UConn men's basketball fan. So I'm going back to a game on March 10th of 2011. This was the Kemba step back game against Pittsburgh. I remember I was in my 4th grade classroom and we were watching the game live on the Elmo. I don't know if you guys
Oh yeah, Elmo.
Yeah, the Elmos. It was like a projector. I remember he came down the court. It was a tie game. Everyone in my class was a Syracuse fan for some reason, which I absolutely hated. So
I mean, you're talking to 3 Syracuse basketball fans right here. So
I'll bring up memories.
I don't care, but it was just so sweet when he hit that step back. He stepped back, wide open, money. Just I love beautiful.
Like,
and then they go on to win the national championship that year. That was an amazing memory too.
There's a team that won.
What?
There's one of your teams that won.
Yeah, I mean they're not like, oh my gosh, if Dallas wins the Super Bowl, you have no idea. I'm gonna come on this show. I'm gonna be talking for 30 minutes straight. You have no idea.
Well, maybe that'll happen in like 2,000 years, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't even think it'll take longer. I don't know. I don't have any faith in them right now.
Does anyone have any last second games to say?
LSU, Texas A&M. I think it was Texas A&M. 7 overtimes, 8, 7.
Very good game. Yeah.
What about the UConn Syracuse game where it went?
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
However many overtimes.
I can't. Why do I never remember? What was it? It was a lot,
Overtime.
huh?
It was 6 overtimes, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Great game. Of course, better team won, but
When was the last time Syracuse won a national championship?
2003.
When was the last time UConn won one? 2014, I think.
Yeah,
With
2014.
Shabazz, Napier, my guy.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have over you guys, but that's it.
Well, I think this is a good sector to our next segment. Our next segment is going to be talking a little bit about our favorite athletes. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Goat Chat. Last segment, we talked about our favorite, most memorable games, and now we're talking about our favorite athletes. Who wants to start? I'm gonna go with Connor this time.
So I mean, I have a poster of in my room. I'm a big Yankees fan. Maybe not as big as the guy next to me here and Tommy, but definitely Derek Jeter. He's my all-time favorite. I mean, you will catch me probably one time a month going onto YouTube and looking up Derek Jeter highlights. I think back to him diving into the stands against Boston. I think back to him with the flip play when he's playing in Oakland. I just see all these plays, and I mean, it's not only the person who he is on the field, but it's also off the field and everything that he did for the city of New York and just how personable he is with all of his fans. Just, I mean, as a Yankees player or Yankees fan, I'm a big fan of the core four that they had there: Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettitte, and Derek Jeter. So, I mean, all of them are probably my favorite Yankee players of all time. If I had to rank them, it's probably Derek Jeter, Andy Pettitte, Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera. But I mean, Derek Jeter stands above and beyond the rest. He's definitely my favorite athlete of all time.
Awesome. What about you, Tommy?
Well, that was a great pick, but I'm going to go with another member of the core four, Jorge Posada. He's one of the best hitting catchers in Yankee history for sure. He got his number retired in 2015, five-time All-Star, four-time World Series champion, and he won 5 Silver Sluggers. And, you know, he's the definition of consistency. He was back there. You know, catchers don't play as much, obviously, because they take a beating back there. But he played 140 games in multiple seasons, which you don't see a lot of catchers do. He handled the pitching staff very well. And, you know, he gave everything he had for his entire 17-year career. And I actually became a fan of Jorge because of, do you guys remember that This Is Sports Center commercial, the Hip Hip Jorge? And I didn't know much about baseball. I didn't know many players. And I saw that and I became a fan instantly. And he's been my favorite ever since then. But an incredible player, great person. And yeah, he's my favorite.
You're telling me there was a time when Tommy didn't know a lot about baseball?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. I didn't like sports like really at all until 2009 when I went to my first Yankee game. I didn't have like any interest in sports, and I went to a Yankees Red Sox game and that changed everything. But
Was it like love at first sight?
oh, for sure, it was great. Yankees won 5-0 and it was great.
Awesome. I love this story.
Being a Red Sox fan didn't come in your mind at all then?
Not at all. No.
All right. Mike, who's your athlete?
It's kind of hard for me to choose one. I have a couple that I really like. If I had to pick one, I would probably go with Paul Pierce. One of my favorites. I think he's so underrated and overlooked. I think what he was able to do with his athletic ability, just, you know, the step backs, the fadeaways, all that stuff, and he did win a title for the Celtics. It kind of sucks because I think if that whole Celtics team stayed healthy, they could have won more championships, but they weren't able to stay healthy. But Paul Pierce, just one of my favorite. He's definitely my favorite player of all time, just for what he did with Boston. And I don't know, I just love him. There's just something about him that resonates with me. Also, but if I'm going to be honest, if Isaiah Thomas was in Boston for more than 2.5 years, he would 100% be my favorite player of all time because he's probably number 2 or 3 for me. That 2017 season was just magical. He averaged 29 points a game, and I remember in the playoffs, unfortunately his sister passed away in a car crash, and he goes out the next day. You see him crying on the practice court. You see Avery Bradley by his side, and then he goes out that day, drops 50 plus points on the Wizards in a playoff game. Like he was just magical, and doing that at 5'9". I mean, he's just like an average Joe out there, just crossing everyone up. And obviously, I have to go with Tony Romo. He's my guy. I love Tony Romo. Listen, I think only if he had a team around him most of his years. And yes, he did have a team in 2007 where the Cowboys had like the most Pro Bowlers of all time. But, that was one season. And all his other seasons, he did not have much help. So I love Tony Romo. And also, this is my last guy, then I'll stop talking. Stephen Weiss of the Florida Panthers. I'm sure none of you know him. Whoever's watching.
I've heard of him.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's surprising because it's not like he was like a great player or anything. His career high for points in the season is 61. So, I mean, he's the reason why I wear number 9 as a hockey player. He was number 9 for the Florida Panthers, so I also love him.
Tony Romo is a better announcer than he is player.
Well, duh, he's the best announcer of all time.
That is true. I really like it.
He's got to be good at something. It's not football.
Okay, Mr. Mark Sanchez, Mr. Butt Fumble.
Oh, man. All right.
Okay, go ahead, Matt. Shock the world. Let's see who your favorite athlete is.
The
I
best,
can't even imagine who it is.
the best passer for the Green Bay Packers. I gotta go with Jay Cutler because he threw so many interceptions. No, I'm kidding. It's obviously Cody Parkey. All right. Jokes aside, it's the leader of the pack, Aaron Rodgers. Do I even have to get started? I'll read this whole book to you. All right. Aaron Rodgers. What comes to mind when I think of Aaron Rodgers?
Him beating the Cowboys.
Connor, I was going to get to that. No, obviously the Super Bowl. Then I think of the Hail Marys. The first one, Detroit. He just turned, I don't know, like 30-something. He's getting old. He's getting old. And then I think of the ones against Arizona. He threw a really long one, and then the Hail Mary. And I think of obviously the one against the Giants when we completely messed them up in the playoffs. But also,
I love that game.
Yeah, that was a really great game.
They go on the boat the week before with their Timberlands on the boat. I'm like, what the hell are you doing on a boat with your Timberlands on?
Yeah.
They go out there and get smacked by the Packers. That was the only time I enjoyed watching the Packers win.
And then OBJ punched the wall.
Yeah.
But, also I think Aaron Rodgers is, getting hit by Anthony Barr took him out of that one season. And then the next season, the first game against the Chicago Bears, he gets hurt with a knee injury, and everyone thought it was torn ACL. Like, I even thought it was torn ACL. I got so many texts saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers going to be hurt for the whole season. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's fragile. He's not good anymore. He's washed. He comes out, I think it was like 0-20 or something against Chicago Bears. He comes out, we win. I was like, I texted everyone. I was like, oh, did you watch the game? Did you watch the rest of the game? Because I was thinking about just going to bed. It was Sunday Night Football. I had school on Monday. I was thinking about just going to bed. Like, I did not want to watch this. I did not want to watch Deshaun Kaiser get messed up by Khalil Mack. Like, that's not how I wanted to spend that night. But Aaron Rodgers has just done so many memorable, magical things that I don't think any quarterback can do. Maybe probably Patrick Mahomes can do a lot of magical things. But Aaron Rodgers definitely introduced me to my love of the NFL. And who knows, like maybe I wouldn't be a sports media major if Aaron Rodgers didn't come into my life. Maybe I wouldn't even be at Ithaca College. Maybe I wouldn't even be here talking with you guys. So I definitely have a lot of thanks to Aaron Rodgers.
He's the only quarterback I've ever seen who can throw a back shoulder fade 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, like he could throw, like you could tell Aaron, hey, throw it over there in that tire hole. He'll do it. He'll get it done. Any thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, boys?
Screw him. I don't like him. I don't like him. I'll leave it at that.
Mike, if you had to start a team with either Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers, who are you picking
Well, are we talking from the beginning of the career or right now?
right now?
Aaron Rodgers at 35 or Dak at 25, 26? I'm taking Dak. Duh. And
Uh,
I'm sure if Matt was smart, he would take Dak too.
no, I would wait for that. I'd bank everything on the NFL draft in a couple of years. Archie Manning, Arch Manning. Yeah, let's go. That's what I really wanted they got Jordan Love. But any other? I mean, obviously Mike said a couple other names. Any other names for you guys? Mike and or Tommy and Connor?
Definitely, I mean, being a Jets fan, I've seen a lot of mediocre players come through the system. But I mean, I think the biggest and best player, and I mean my favorite player of the Jets of all time is probably number 24, Darrell Revis. He Revis Island. I mean, I was a kid really when he played his first stint with the Jets coming out of Pittsburgh. I mean, he just locked down Calvin Johnson. He locked down Randy Moss. He locked down all these big name guys. And I mean, he was the reason why that Jets team in 2009 and 2010 made it to the AFC Championship game, is because of that defense that was led by him, Antonio Cromartie, David Harris, Bart Scott. I mean, they had Mark Sanchez at quarterback, so let's be real. But I mean, it was just watching him take the field every Sunday was just something that made me look forward to football every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, another one, he's a polarizing figure. I got to go with A-Rod for one of my favorites.
Aaron Rodgers?
No, not Aaron Rodgers. Alex Rodriguez, one of the best players of all time, fourth on the all-time home runs list. And, like, despite how he got there, I know obviously that played a big factor, but I think he's one of the most talented players ever. He was definitely one of my favorites, but, a lot of controversy surrounding him.
I would say another one of my favorite players who doesn't come from one of my favorite teams is Kobe Bryant. Unfortunately, he passed away in January. But I mean, when I first started watching basketball, I wasn't a Miami Heat fan. I originally started watching the Lakers because of Kobe Bryant and because of how dominant he was. And just seeing him go out there and just play the way he did, and then after he's off the court, give his time to the fans, or do an episode of Modern Family with our TVR professor, Jack Powers, or just, I mean, be the dad that he was to his daughters. It was just, I mean, Kobe Bryant was an all-around great person, which makes him so much more than just my favorite athlete. He's just he's one of my favorite people of all time.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorites. Like I'm a huge player fan. I think I mentioned this like earlier today. I love players. Like I idolize players. One player that I really love is Drew Brees, who's not on the Packers. I've looked up to him. Since I was a little kid. I used to be like, when you're a little kid, you used to like my second favorite team was the Saints because Drew Brees. But just even the way off the field, like how he raises his kids and makes sure that family's first is just unbelievable. But other than that, Patrick Kane, I like the Blackhawks though, and last name. But Patrick Kane, I like Bryce Harper. I'm so upset he's on the Phillies. I'm so upset he's on the Phillies. But I also grew up a Steve Nash fan too. And Julie Ertz. Never forget Julie Ertz.
Well, since you guys are throwing out more players, I have to throw out two Mets players who I really idolized growing up. I loved David Wright. He was definitely one of my favorite Mets of all time. But I think my favorite Met of all time has to be Carlos Delgado. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was just such a great player at first base for the Mets. And obviously, Carlos Beltran, I love him. Too bad he's not the Mets manager anymore. But he made some mistakes in his past with the Astros. What?
Can you get into that more about why Carlos isn't the manager anymore?
Well, there was like some weird thing about the Astros, like cheating, like
I thought Tommy was a Jose Altuve fan.
No, but I'm just kidding about Carlos Beltran. I think he's a great person overall.
100%. And I obviously feel kind of bad for him because he was supposed to be the Mets manager. But honestly, I think the Mets are better off with their new manager, Luis Rojas. I think the players like him more than Beltran. He's coached a lot of the Mets players in the minors, so I think that's a good pick for them. Also, I love Jose Reyes. He's my guy. Even when he left, when he came back, that was really fun for his last couple of years. But also Yohan Santana, Nohan pitched that no-hitter for the Mets back in the day. That was an amazing moment. I remember watching that game. He pitched like over 120 balls. It was insane. So I love all those guys.
Does anyone have any last-second athletes to throw out there?
I could go for days. I'm just gonna stop here.
Same.
I think this is a good time to stop. And this is the end of the 6th episode. We always want to say thank you to all the people who are supporting us and giving us our views and our likes. We want to keep pushing out this good content for you guys. Obviously, with the world without sports, we just love seeing everyone tune in and enjoying everything we're doing. As always, like, subscribe, follow on Instagram. We're going to be posting more TikToks here soon. Thank you guys.